The crisis usually starts long before anyone notices. When organizations investigate a major problem, attention naturally turns towards the visible consequences. A customer complaint, an audit finding, a delayed project, or a supplier dispute creates an immediate need to understand what went wrong. Teams gather evidence, review procedures, and search for the moment at which the failure occurred. What often goes unnoticed is that many business crises begin weeks or even months before the first warning signs appear. Long before the complaint is received or the deadline is missed, a conversation has taken place somewhere within the organization. Requirements have been discussed, expectations have been explained, and decisions have been communicated. At the time, the exchange appeared entirely routine. Those involved left believing that everyone shared the same understanding of what had been agreed. Only later does it become apparent that different interpretations were carried away from the same discussion. When a common language creates a false sense of security. International organizations frequently rely on a shared business language to connect employees, suppliers, and customers across multiple countries. English has become the practical solution for many global operations, creating the impression that language barriers have largely disappeared. Reality is often far more complex. A common language enables communication, but it does not automatically create common understanding. Behind every conversation sits a lifetime of cultural experiences, educational influences, and professional expectations that shape how information is interpreted. Words that appear straightforward to one individual may carry very different meanings for another. Consider a project meeting involving participants from several countries. The discussion may be conducted entirely in English, yet each participant is processing information through a different linguistic and cultural framework. By the end of the meeting, everybody may believe they are aligned while unknowingly holding different interpretations of priorities, responsibilities, and expected outcomes. The conversation itself appears successful. The consequences emerge later. Unlike technical failures, communication failures rarely produce immediate evidence. Machines stop working. Systems generate alerts. Financial discrepancies appear in reports. Misunderstandings, however, can remain invisible for extended periods while gradually influencing decisions and behavior. Within multilingual environments, these hidden risks become particularly significant. An auditor may ask a question that is understood differently from what was intended. A supplier may interpret a specification according to local conventions rather than customer expectations. Feedback delivered with positive intent may create resistance because the communication style clashes with cultural norms. None of these situations necessarily involve poor communication skills. In many cases, the individuals involved are experienced professionals who communicate effectively within their own environments. Difficulties arise because meaning itself becomes distorted as information passes between languages, cultures, and differing expectations. By the time the impact becomes visible, the original misunderstanding is often impossible to trace. Why global organizations rarely identify the real root cause. Most organizations have well-developed systems for investigating quality failures, operational problems, and compliance issues. Root cause analysis has become a standard management practice, particularly within manufacturing, engineering, and regulated industries. Yet communication is rarely examined with the same level of rigor. When a project falls behind schedule, attention frequently focuses on planning. When quality issues emerge, procedures are reviewed. When customers become dissatisfied, organizations often examine products, services, or delivery performance. The possibility that people interpreted information differently is often treated as a secondary consideration rather than a potential root cause. This creates a significant blind spot. Every organizational process depends upon information being exchanged accurately between individuals. Instructions, requirements, evidence, decisions, and expectations all travel through communication channels before they become actions. Where multilingual and multicultural environments are involved, the potential for variation increases dramatically. Ignoring that risk does not remove it. Viewing multilingual communication as a business risk. For many years, communication has been categorized as a soft skill. While the ability to communicate effectively remains important, this description understates the impact communication has on organizational performance. In global organizations, multilingual communication influences quality, safety, compliance, customer satisfaction, supplier relationships, and leadership effectiveness. The consequences of misunderstanding can extend far beyond the conversation in which they originated. Recognizing multilingual communication as a business risk changes the conversation entirely. Rather than focusing solely on presentation skills or interpersonal techniques, leaders begin examining how understanding is created, verified, and maintained across linguistic and cultural boundaries. This shift moves communication from the training room into the boardroom. Building organizations that create shared understanding. Successful international organizations do more than ensure people can speak a common language. They develop systems that reduce ambiguity, encourage clarification, and recognize cultural differences before they become operational problems. Creating shared understanding requires more than transmitting information. It requires an awareness of how that information may be interpreted by different audiences, different cultures, and different professional backgrounds. As organizations continue to expand across borders, this capability will become increasingly important. Competitive advantage will belong not only to those who communicate effectively, but also to those who understand where communication can fail and how those failures can be prevented. Many business crises begin with a conversation that seemed entirely unremarkable at the time. Understanding that reality may be one of the most important risk management lessons organizations can learn.